The question is, should you buy a 20-volt Bauer chainsaw or should you buy the Bauer angle grinder with the chainsaw wheel, i.e. spinning wheel of death? After spending some time with the spinning wheel of death, I figured out 3 main points when using this angle grinder with that chainsaw wheel. First thing is it's actually pretty useful to quickly cut really small items like branches or vines or extremely small trees. You have it at your fingertips. You just push the blocking paddle forward and then you run it. It's pretty quick and it gets the job done. The second thing I noticed is you have to keep your offhand away from the blade. This thing has a tendency to kick around if you don't have a good grip on it. And just like the name suggests, you might die. Is that dramatic? Or cut your hand off? But the good news is it won't fully cut your hand off, because the third point that I noticed is the cut depth of this thing sucks. We saw that when I first tested it, but we confirmed it while using it on branches and trees and shrubs and vines and a bunch of stuff. You can see that the locking mechanism for the safety guard is pretty close to that blade. The worst part is 3/4 of an inch clearance. So you're not cutting very deep. Because this was such a hassle, I figured I'd run a test. So let's mount up a board on my bench vise and see what depth we can actually get with this angle grinder. Another thing I noticed is the little wrench that fits in the holes at the center of the arbor is a different size than my DeWalt one. As you can see, the DeWalt wrench for the arbor is slightly wider than the holes that are in the arbor of the Bauer. So don't plan on using the DeWalt wrench on this, and don't lose the Bauer wrench. Now, the electric chainsaw. After using the 10-inch Bauer electric chainsaw, I noticed 2 things. First one, it's not super powerful. When compared to a gas unit, obviously this is going to wildly fail in comparison to a gas chainsaw. However, this thing, I'm talking about this, is extremely useful. It's not loud, it's easy to carry around, and it gets the job done. You can cut down a tree in a reasonable amount of time. Is it 2 times as long as a chainsaw? Maybe even 3? Yeah, that's a reasonable estimate. It depends on the scenario. If you have a big tree, it's going to be pretty hard to cut it down with this. However, the small trees, branches, things that are in your way that are not massive are going to be able to be cut by this 10-inch Bauer 20-volt chainsaw. First thing is it's not very powerful. Second thing is it is actually extremely useful, and I'm definitely going to find myself grabbing this thing when I go out to walk the trails and I need to cut down limbs or trees that are going to be in my way. I can just go whack them off with this thing and we're good to go. So I'm going to do a quick cut test just to show you how quickly this can cut a decent size. We'll go with a decent sized branch. I'll go get a branch out in the wilderness. if you need to fell a bunch of trees in a short amount of time, this is obviously not your tool. It's completely dependent on what you're doing. If you have a bunch of small vines, tree branches, and other things that you would like to just walk around and whack off quickly, this angle grinder is going to work perfect as long as none of it is over 3/4 of an inch thick. If it's larger than that, or you value safety and you don't want to take a chance with this wheel of death, don't get this. However, if you're going to go out and prune some relatively big branches with your kids running around, with your wife standing next to you trying to talk, the Bauer 20-volt chainsaw is going to be much more useful and easy to use than a gas-powered chainsaw. It's actually safer in the fact that it's not super powerful, but I feel much more comfortable using the Bauer 20-volt chainsaw around my family, running around the yard, than I do with the gas-powered chainsaw. So I hope this is helpful for you. I did think the $89.99 for a 5 amp hour battery, the charger, and the angle grinder was a sweet deal.